Hey boys, how are you? Hopefully by now you've gotten a package that has a few more books in it so we can read together. So I was thinking today we would read all aboard reading Pirate School. So here we go. Pete's family was a lot like other families. Every morning Mom and Dad got breakfast. His baby sister watched Jolly Roger's Neighborhood, and Pete rode the bus to school. Rode the bus, that's funny. Pete went to school on a ship. The ship was called PS-1. The PS stood for Pirate School. Arr. Pete learned to add by adding up gold coins. He learned to subtract by making classmates walk the plank. Arr! See? Safety first, though. They're wearing flotation devices. They're not going by themselves. The kids at PS1 were as hard as nails, and so were the rules. Number 1, don't cry over spilled milk. Number 2, last one there is a rotten egg. Number 3, finders keepers, losers weepers. Pete liked everything about Pirate School. Well, almost everything. He hated Gregory Grimes the 13th. The kids called him Grimy. And Grimy hated Pete right back. I don't wonder why they hate each other. It's not very good, is it? You're too little to lift the anchor, said Grimy. You're too big to go through the hatch, said Pete. You're little shrimp, shouted Grimy. You big whale, shouted Pete. Stop that, yelled their teacher, Captain Bones. Captain Bones did not like kids to call each other names. That's a good thing. We don't want to call people names. Act like big pirates, he said, and fight it out. I'm not really sure that's a good thing, too, but we'll kind of go with it. And so they did. Who won? I did, said Grimy. No, I did, said Pete. At Pirate School, the biggest day of the year was Treasure Hunt Day. Captain Bones held up a map. The treasure is hidden here, he said. X marks the spot. Find it, and you get to keep it. Finders keepers, hissed Grim. Losers, weepers, snapped Pete. All the kids rowed to the shores of Skull Island. Pete and Grimy fought all the way. I'm going to find the treasure first, said Grimy. No, I'm going to find it first, said Pete. They're acting very silly, aren't they, boys? Are you following along in your book? Look at the pages. On Skull Island, the class split up. They all ran off to find the X that marked the spot. Pete looked high. Pete looked low. Pete looked to find the X before Grimy, he thought. Pete went deeper and deeper into the woods. That X could be anywhere, he said, so he looked everywhere. No luck. At last he sat down to think. Suddenly he felt as if someone was watching him. Slowly he turned around. The X! The X! I found the X. It looks just like the one on the map. Forget it, somebody yelled. I found it first. Who could that be? You guys know? It was Grimy. They had found the X at the same time. It was the same side. It was on the side of the old ship. Scram, said Grimy. The treasure is mine. You want to fight about it? Well, here we go again, boys. We're fighting. That's not very good. We don't solve things through fighting. Anyway, back to the story. And so they did. Captain Bones would have been proud. Crash! Oh, see? Crash! Pete and Grimy fell through the rotted deck. Down, down they went into the dark. Crash. See, this is what you get for fighting. They made a mistake and they fell. Pete and Grimy hit bottom. It was dark and wet and smelly. Slowly their eyes got used to the dark. Look, said Pete. It was the treasure. "We found it!" they cheered. But then they stopped cheering. They looked around. There were no steps, no ladder, no rope, no door. They were trapped like rats. "We'll never get out," said Grimy. "We'll starve to death. By the time they find us, we'll be a pile of bones. Oh no, the shame." Pete and Grimy sat down on the treasure and waited to die. Die? What kind of story is this? "Hey, Pete," said Grimy. "Are you scared?" Pete nodded. I'm more scared than you," said Grimy. "No, I'm more scared than you," said Pete. But before they could fight it out, Pete got an idea. Look, they're sitting over here. First, he got Grimy to help him turn the treasure chest on its side. Then he made Grimy stand up top of the chest. Then Pete stood on top of Grimy. "Give me a boost," Pete said. Grimy did. Pete hit the deck with a thud. "Ouch!" he said. "I made it." He grabbed a rope. "Tie this to the treasure," he called down to Grimy. Pete pulled the crank and pulled the treasure up. See, good thinking, Pete. Good thinking. Pete couldn't wait to see what was inside. He opened the treasure. "Wow!" he cried. "I've never seen so much treasure. And it's mine," he shouted. "All mine." "Hey, Pete," cried Grimy. "What about me?" He looked down in the dark, deep hole. Suddenly, he had a terrible idea. "I should just leave him there," he thought. "He'd be a pile of bones, and I would have all the treasure. Now look, he just helped him get out of the hole, and now he wants to leave him there. That doesn't seem to be very nice, does it, boys? You guys wouldn't do that, right? You would help each other. Okay? I want to hear that. Help each other." "Ah, shellfish," said Pete. "I just can't do it. If it weren't for Grimy's help, I'd be stuck down there too." So he threw down the rope and pulled Grimy out. "Thanks, mate," said Grimy. I was scared you were going to leave me." "No, I couldn't do that," said Pete. "But don't tell Captain Bones that I saved you. He'd be mad." Together they tied the treasure back to the boat. Sorry, they carried the treasure. Back at the ship, all the kids cheered, but Captain Bones frowned. "We have never had a tie before," he said. "I guess there's only one thing to do. Act like pirates, big pirates, and fight it out." This captain sure seems to be a whole lot about fighting, boys. But Pete and Grimy had a better idea. "We want to split it," said Pete. 50-50, said Grimy. "Even Steven," said Pete. So they did. And it worked out great. Until there came just one coin left. Pete and Grimy looked at it. Everyone looked at Pete and Grimy. What would they do now? Were they going to fight it out? There's that fighting again. No. They flipped for it. The end. Doesn't really tell you who won. One of them got it, and the other had to be okay with it. And sometimes that's just how it is, boys. It's not a big deal. So remember that when you're playing with toys and one has more than the other, or one has more French fries than the other, or something like that. Okay? So I hope you liked the story. You should have the book there. I want you to follow along with the pictures because you can see it better than if I were to show you. And have a good time. Okay? I love you guys. Take care. Bye, Mommy. Hope everyone's doing good. And it's just another lazy Sunday here. So I'll talk to you guys later. Mwah.